I don't really know too many pattern building games. I've only played maybe 20, but these are 7 high quality pattern building games I can strongly suggest. There's going to be something for everyone, including something for you. Do me a favor, tell me your favorite pattern building game of all time in the comments below right now. I want to hear more suggestions. I want to get more familiar with these kinds of games. But yeah, here are 7 I think are fantastic. I have 5 of them, and I will show you pictures of the other 2. I'm Caravan Dan from Gaming Caravan. This is what we'll be doing the rest of the year, so go ahead and subscribe if you like these kinds of videos. Before we get started, let's go and talk about what pattern building is. Pattern building is whenever you have some types of, let's say, symbols or colors or something similar to that, and you have to place them in a specific order for a specific purpose, depending on if it's scoring, depending on if it's to trigger abilities. As long as you get benefits of some kind by putting certain colors, shapes, icons next to each other, for whatever reason, that is a pattern building game because you are building patterns. Now let's go ahead and get started with this list. On to number 7. This game is Biomos. We have Biomos ranked number 88 out of my 162 games ranked. Biomos is an interesting, very small box, very affordable game by North Star Games. In this one, everyone has their own planet that they're terraforming, but it's not Mars. And in this one, you'll be fulfilling recipes by grabbing tiles opened from everyone and adding it into your specific planet. The reason you're doing this is you're trying to fulfill the recipes available to you. There's going to be 4 small ones and like 4 big ones, and the big ones score you a lot more points than the small ones. And also, depending on the tiles that you gain and you put next to other tiles, different traits or different effects can trigger. For instance, ice next to anything can turn into an ice cube. I believe water next to ice will turn that into an ice. Ice can melt and turn into anything. You have, I believe, I don't remember all of them specifically, but the different icons next to each other will trigger different effects. But additionally, you can move them on a locked grid. There's a locked C section, so you can move them however you want. So let's say you fulfill one pattern, you can claim that and then mess it up a little bit for the next pattern. The only time you have to stop moving is obviously when you run out of space, which is good to know. Biomos is a quick, maybe 20-minute pattern building game that I strongly recommend. It's a great filler game. Teach anyone. There's an easy mode, but the normal mode is like the easiest thing. So I don't even use the easy mode. Easy mode just gets rid of any player ability because you all have different scorings for endgame scoring. Anyways, that is Biomos. Number 7, we have Canvas. Canvas is ranked number 87 out of 162 games I've ranked. This one is a really fun, inexpensive, fast-paced introduction board game that's pattern building. Now in this one you'll be doing an open drafting in order to gain specific transparent cards to overlay on top of each other. If you play games like Mystic Vale, this is similar to that, except this one at the bottom, for all of the cards, they will have different traits. There are 5 colors in the exact same order, and then sometimes blue and red will have a trait, or red and green will have a trait, or yellow, blue, and purple will have a trait. Depending on how you overlap them, there's different iconographies at the bottom of each one that will fulfill recipes for the public awards. Whoever fulfills the most recipes in the public awards by building these patterns on the cards will win at the end of the game. You will have to use 3 cards specifically for each and every picture, so make sure you choose properly and overlay them in the proper order and proper manner, and draft well. Because if you have a bad draft, you literally can't get any of these points if you're not paying attention. This game, I would say, is like a 2.2 out of 5 in difficulty. Very fun, quick, easy, and again, $25. Apparently the expansions make it better. I've never played them, but I heard both expansions make this game just wildly better, and I very much like this game. The production quality is fantastic. Even though it's a thin box, look how beautiful this box is. Even has a hanging in the back for you to hang it on your walls. Because that's just how beautiful this game is, if you don't know. So, strongly suggest this game. I do not own number 5, and number 5 is a place for all my books. This game is very talked about. I did a before you buy video on that game if you want to look in my channel and find that one out. A place for all my books is a very cozy, attractive board game where in that what you'll be doing is you will be manipulating books inside of your home to fulfill certain objectives. So you want them in certain patterns. Sometimes it's like alternating books. Sometimes it's all the top of your shelves have to have at least 4 books. Sometimes all the stacks in one room have to have a blue book on top. In order to get more books, you have to build up your social battery, then go to the town, stay in the town to gain a bunch of books in different various ways. Sometimes you'll be helping opponents, sometimes you won't be. And then come home to then put all your books inside the shelves in the right manner. There are some variable player powers they can get throughout the game by buying them. I think it's very interesting how having books in the right orders will score you so many points. This is a pattern building game, so it really just depends on the patterns that you're building and the objectives that you're drafting and when you score them. It is a worker placement game, I think, technically, because you place your worker on your board somewhere to do that action. I wouldn't really call it worker placement too much, personally. I think it's action selection more than anything else, but that's just me. So Place for All My Books is a very, very nice game. That's how that's the pattern building. You have to try to build the patterns utilizing these actual books. It's a little bit dexterity game because the wooden books are very difficult to stack once you get to a certain height. But, overall, great time. All right, going up next, we have Diatoms by Little Liminal. This is a baller game. This kind of replaced Carcassonne for me. Not one-to-one, but this is a tile placement on pattern building game. In this game, what you will be doing, you are aiming to gain the most amount of tokens possible by placing a different tile on the public shared board. Basically, if you place the third tile in a set of 3 tiles, you will then gain, and make a circle on a corner, you will then gain all of those different colors and shapes onto your personal board. So you are then rewarded by grabbing all of those pieces, and you will definitely get more pieces than other opponents if you are very strategic with how you're placing these tiles on the public board. And additionally, it's pattern building because you then want to place those specific colors and shapes in the right locations on your player board, because you're then building patterns just to have the most amount of shapes in one circle, the most amount of symmetry throughout your entire diagram, because in here you're actually using microscopic art. It's kind of like canvas on a microscopic scale, and it's tile placement on tile placement because you're going to be placing a tile in the middle of the board to then get a bunch of tiny little tiles placed on your private board. And I think that's very fun, and the patterns that you build are very puzzly in that sense, where you want to make sure that you place them early on with boldness and then try to replicate that by the end of the game. If you put like a purple triangle on one spot, you want to on then the exact same other side of the board do another purple triangle in order to score the most amount of points possible, but also scores based on variability, which is very good to know because you want to have the most amount of shapes, most amount of colors, and the same rings on the board and in the same line. It's just cool. I think it's very cool, and it's very puzzly with how you have to do everything properly and better than your opponents, and there are no right answers. But the wrong answers are the ones that I make, which are just, that's apparently. This is a fantastic game. This game is ranked number 41 out of 162 games I've ranked of all time. Fantastic time. I very much enjoy this game. Coming up next, we actually have the game that won number 1 co-op game of all time for me. This is bada bing, bada boom, and they sent me a copy so I can next show it now. Paint the Roses by North Star Games. If you don't know Paint the Roses, this is actually a fully cooperative game, which is very rare for me to speak highly of, but this has actually made it so far. It's actually number 3 for pattern building games because it's just such a quality game. And this one, it's a logic deduction pattern building game because there is a tile in the middle of the board starting, whatever that tile might be. There are a few different shapes. Think of a deck of cards. You have the spades, you have the clubs, you have the hearts, you have the diamonds. You'll then draft a few tiles, and then everyone's going to have a specific pattern that they have to try to help their teammates guess from them. And let's say that you need to have reds next to reds. If there's a red on the board, I will then want to place my red tile next to the other red on the board to signal to them this is what I'm going for. However, they also have to make sure they're paying attention to where I'm not placing next to, because you have to place next to something that fulfills your objective as long as you can. However, if you cannot, you have to place it somewhere else on the board. Now, it's very large deduction, very difficult, very challenging, and I like it a lot because you really have to take some chances. You have to narrow down your assets. You have to pay attention to where they're placing it. You also pay attention to where they're not placing it. So you're building patterns in that way because maybe you're putting all of your hearts next to other hearts, but I'm only seeing reds next to reds. Maybe I'm only seeing shapes next to color type thing, and you actually have a shape next to shape. And there's a lot of different difficulties to this because depending on the challenging card that you draft, you have to give hints like that. So if I draw an easy card, I now have to give you guys hints towards my easy card, which is only color to color. If you're doing hard cards, you now have to have the whole board you have to pay attention to. So you really have to make sure where you're placing it matters the absolute most. I like it. It's just really difficult, and I like it a lot. So, second game on this list I don't have, and the last one on this list I don't have, is Blazon by 20th Century Games. This game actually made it to number 20 of my games of all time. Now, it's been a while since I've played that game, so I might have to fluctuate on the rating a little bit, but this game is still a very quality game. It's a pattern building game because everyone has their own shield. What you're doing in Blazon is you're building your family crest. on your board. There is limiting factors where you can place your tiles, because when you draft a tile, it will have different colors, different patterns, different shapes, kind of like Paint the Roses now I think about it. However, in this one, it's fully competitive, and you're trying to have the family crest that scores the most amount of points along the way. You can get different tokens throughout the game that let you do more actions, and I can't explain it too much because it's been a while since I played. And the issue with Blazon is every single word is like a different language that I'm not familiar with. My tongue can't do it right. So when you think you're placing tile, you're actually like, ha ha ha. It's difficult to say, especially whenever you're playing with a bunch of people who don't know any other languages and we're trying to pronounce them properly. The spelling's a bit wonky and hard to read in English. So that's the most challenging part of this game. And the rulebook is just filled with all these difficult words. However, once you get through all that, it's actually a high quality pattern building game because you're trying to have this one row of each different type of that pattern available to you, which will allow you to score more, which will allow you to get more actions in the game, which will allow you to, I think, end the game as well, which is always a good thing in here. So yeah, Blazon, quality 20th century game, definitely play it. I think it gets too much hate. I really do think it gets unnecessary hate from people who are trying to learn from the rulebook, which is, you know, valid. And last but not least, my favorite pattern building game of all time. This one is ranked number 13 out of 162 games and used to be ranked number 2, but it's dropped significantly since reconsidering it. We have Azul. Now, I couldn't find my base version of Azul. I've actually never played Stained Glass, even though I heard it's the best version of Azul. But Azul is such a fantastic game. Very thinky, very puzzly. The whole game is in your hands. I've heard some people say it's a very take that game. I could not disagree more. Maybe the people you're playing with make it a take that game, but your game is fully in your control. You should definitely try this out if you're new to board games, or even if you're experienced in board games where you like logic games, you like strategy-based games. This is one for you because in between the rounds, different tiles are shown in the open area, which really changes what you draft. So sometimes you want to get 3 of a kind, sometimes you want to get 1 of a kind, 2 of a kind, 5 of a kind. You should push your luck saying, ooh, maybe I should go for this pile of 4 and try to get a straggler of 1. Maybe I should wait for that to be a grouping of 5. And after every single round, you're going to then score whatever rows you have fully fulfilled on your player board, which, depending on how you actually slide them in, will score you more and more and more points, which is just, I think it's very cool how such a simple game can be just so full of strategy, so full of replayability for just so many different kinds of people. So those are the patterns you're building, because you really need to have the certain amount of the exact same type of pattern. Sometimes only 1, sometimes only 2, sometimes all the way up to 5, depending on whatever you draft and however you put it there. Now, this one might be entirely different. I just grabbed the box of Azul. I don't want to find another picture if I already had a copy. Can't find my personal copy, but it's definitely somewhere in this house of, 400 board games. But yeah, that is Azul for you. So yeah, that's my list. Let me know what mechanic you want to see me do a video on in the future. We have a few other coming up. I will be doing about 5 of these videos back to back to back. I won't be able to read any comments too much because I'll be at my sister's wedding this weekend, which is a big deal, and we've been planning for like 6 months now. I'm excited to see you guys more in the future. Our next event, Central Florida, is Tabletop Christmas, being held in Oviedo, Florida. So go ahead and check out the description of that video if you want to find out more about that event. But until then, peace, have a great day, God bless, and I really hope to see you at a table soon.